Alright, so today we're checking out the brand new Insta360 One RS, and if you're wondering how we get away with using this popular music, then that is thanks to our sponsor, Lyft. Tons of bells and whistles on this thing, but I just want to know, how does the image look out of this new 48 megapixel half-inch sensor? So let's hit that record button and shoot.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Check out what we've got going on in the space. We got Michael from Insta360 hanging out. Look at this fancy, what, Gemini 5K? These are great in low light, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh my god, this set has never looked this good before. Can you guys just leave this setup? I'll buy all the lights off you so you don't have to touch anything on the way out. I just want this to just stay.
It may look similar to the previous version of the One R, but it's all purposely built because the first thing that you can do is you can interchange all of the mods between the One R and the One RS. The in-camera stabilization is pretty much on par with what you would get exported through our studio. If you look at the battery itself, it's a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
So you have, it's about 21% longer on the battery life.
Active HDR.
So that's one of the other new features. So with active HDR, you can actually shoot an HDR video in motion. Previously, it was recommended to only shoot stationary HDR videos. My biggest struggle with the previous generation was if I want to quickly swap out lenses between like the 1-inch sensor, you have to do a little bit of extra work. So this is now a quick release side loader. So you take the whole camera, put it in, put it out. In this housing, there's also some sound dampening technology built in. So if you look inside of the housing,
Oh, right there.
yep, you're riding your motorcycle, you're gonna get a lot less wind.
That's
also,
cool.
The materials that are built in here also help with heat dissipation. So if you have this on, it's actually gonna be able to record for longer than if you just had it out of the case.
It's nice having that. Oh, this is the alarm for your...
Oh, for my car?
Seeping, yeah.
Oh, shoot.
So,
I'm going to
that's why I said
Gene.
this a lot. All right.
Thanks, man.
I just saved Michael from getting a parking ticket, so. All right, so now that Insta360 is no longer watching, I went ahead and took this and basically tried to overheat the thing. I needed to see if this whole thermal regulating case actually helps cool down the camera, or is that just some marketing thing to get you to buy this camera using my affiliate link down there in the description. Of course, I'm not gonna lie, they do give me a pretty decent cut of every camera I sell, so yeah, buy it. But I'm gonna try to keep my bias to a minimum and make sure I show you examples of everything. Now, GoPro does have that nice big display in the back, but the thing about big displays is that they generate heat, so it overheated in 1 hour and 13 minutes. But on the One RS, it pretty much kept going until the battery died. So of course, it's time to light that fire. They all started recording at the same time, and you can see the temperature right there in the middle in the high 90s. GoPro was the first to go, around 35 minutes, and the Action 2 was about 5 minutes behind it. And now the temperature is rising. You can see I try to fire it up again, but they're both like, nah, it's like 100 degrees in here. Screw that. Insta360 is still chilling, and I used to not love the fact that it had a small display, but this makes me actually really appreciate it. And at this point, I'm like, I only have one of these. I still have a video to make, so I just kind of dropped in the other One R just to see how hard it is to overheat. And if you watch the temperature, I literally had to take it to 112 degrees, which is well above its recommended operating temperature. Definitely gives me peace of mind, because last thing I want to do is plant the camera in a hot place and come back to it and be like, oh crap, it cut halfway through or before the main thing happened. The other reason why you should definitely buy it with my link in the description is because you can swap it out with a 360 head, and no one does 360 cameras better than Insta360. But you cannot replace this lens protector. Definitely was a little bit sad when I saw that. They're pulling a Hero 8 right here. Also, I do have a 3.5 mil adapter if you want to put your own mics onto here. Now, it is only mono, not stereo. So now I'm going to go ahead and switch the audio to what I'm getting out of the camera using this adapter and microphone. And I've noticed that it doesn't quite sound the same as the internal recording here. So let me go ahead and switch to the internal recording from inside of this microphone, because it records internally. Rode Wireless Go 2s. Love these microphones. And I'm just gonna go ahead and sync it to the camera, and I feel like I get the best audio quality this way. So let me go ahead and take this camera out for a little spin and shoot a little vlog. Let's go. Let me show you how the setup looks right there. Here we are at the home of the penguins. I'm not gonna color grade any of this. I believe the color setting's on vivid by default, so I haven't really touched much yet. Just kind of want to see, how does this sensor look out of the box? The stabilization looks pretty good so far. Oh, it gets really dark in here, so we'll see the low light test. Oh man, really dark in here. Oh yeah, there's your friends.
Oh, hi friends.
The puppies of the sea.
Look at this upside down.
Jeff, thank you for having us.
This shit be like paradise.
Hi, Dee. She's so soft. Actually heavier than I thought. It's like PETA.
Penguins are pretty heavy.
That was a highlight for sure.
Yeah,
That
this is
one's
the best day ever. They are smart because they know that Jeff is coming in with the bucket. Shout out to Jeff for this experience, by the way. One of the features that I think is kind of interesting is right over here, 6K widescreen mode. So if we hit that, it says 6K widescreen mode is not recommended in low light environments. So I'll go ahead and confirm that. And we get a 6K 2.35:1 aspect ratio. So let me go ahead and hit record real quick. All right, so how are we looking in 6K? There is a bit of a crop into the sensor, but still 6K, that's a lot of pixels. So very curious to see how this looks. I'm gonna go ahead and answer a question from one of you. World Travel Hack says, anyone know the site used to license music tracks? It's a one-time fee you pay. It gives you a license to use a song in your videos. Asking here because Potato Jet plugged this site a while back and now I'm trying to find it. Please reply if anyone knows what I'm talking about. I want to pay for a license to use popular 2022 songs. You are thinking about today's sponsor, Licked, which Dylan will tell you right about in 6K.
Ever feel like your stock music choices are somewhere between generic elevator music and a wet fart? That's where Licked comes in. Their vision is to make commercial music available to everyone, no exceptions. You know what can ruin a beautiful day like this? Getting a copyright strike or getting demonetized. With Licked, you have access to over 1 million licensed songs that are all 100% claims free. And yes, you can still monetize your videos. The chart music is pay per license, 1 license per video. Within that video, you can play the song as many times as you want. Hit songs like this are usually out of reach for us little guys. You know, unless you're one of those executive guys who has a boat like this and you're eating caviar out of a wine glass. Licked has affordable pricing based on the size of your channel, so you'll be balling with the rest of the titans.
If you still need more options, Licked has just launched their Essentials library, which gives you access to over 100,000 claims-free songs in a subscription-based model. So that's a good option to get some background music in there, but for some of the montages, the highlight moments, that's where you want to go check out the chart music. I definitely recommend checking out the website and seeing how many of these artists that you know. Happy to see Glass Animals on here. Big fan of them.
By supporting Licked, you're also supporting the artist you license. The more creators use Licked, the more labels they can sign, and ultimately, the more access we'll have to music. It's a win-win on Cloud 9. Get 50% off your first chart music track and 60 days free stock music by clicking the link below. So what are you waiting for? Make like a lollipop and get licked.
Make like a lollipop and get licked, huh? That's why I'm paying you all this money so you could come up with lines like that?
Yes.
Hey,
How you doing?
great.
How's this 60 frames per second looking? Is it looking pretty good?
Oh, that's the slow-mo, right? How does PETA look in 60?
Look at Peta. She loves it on the bike, doesn't she? Got the stick. I'm gonna get that low angle. Does this look cool? I'm not even looking at the frame because I'm trying not to crash here, so. And now it does seem to do a little bit of a crop in at 4K 50 frames per second and 4K 60 frames per second. Oh, I think those little kids like our Super 73s. These bikes are cool looking, right? I do have other e-bikes that are faster and more capable, but man, these Super 73s, it did such a good job on this design, right? Did you see that Super 73 came out with some new models recently?
No.
It looks so cool.
Really?
Peter, you having fun? Now we are recording at 100 frames per second in 2.7K. Nothing crazy, but let's just see how that looks. Taking a few more stills in the RAW and JPEG mode here. I don't think I've personally ever taken photos with an action camera before, but so far, the sharpness of this 48 megapixel sensor has been pretty cool.
It's nice to have the option though,
Yeah, that's true.
especially if you're traveling and this is all you're taking with you.
I do love their selfie stick. I think they upgraded this a little while ago because you used to have to twist it and then extend it and then lock it into place, but this one's more friction based, so at any point I could just extend it out, and it reaches out as far as the previous one did, but it does close down smaller. So I love that. Now during this ride, we've been just filming with the vivid color profile without doing any sort of color grading, but I wanna see what it looks like if we switch it over to the other color profiles like standard or log. Of course, that flat log is supposed to give us more room for a color grade. Usually I don't really shoot in log with action cameras. I don't feel like the codecs are strong enough for me to find it useful, but maybe this camera is a little bit different. How does it look when it's flat and then I color grade it? But for now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just play it safe and leave it on standard. As they fix notice different things in firmware updates, or if I notice any issues or glitches or anything like that, then I will pin it in a comment down below. So make sure you check my pinned comment down below to see what's going on currently in case you're watching this in the future. That's one of the tough parts about trying to test out cameras that aren't finalized yet. I always get early firmware stuff. Hey, check it out. Some other Super 73 guys. How's it going? Hey, yeah, how you doing?
I'm an editor.
You're an editor. And that's the Z1, right?
Z1,
Did you see the new one that they just launched and announced?
I haven't seen the new one. I've seen what you got there.
What do you edit on?
Avid.
Avid. Oh, okay, so the legit stuff.
Yeah, I know you guys use Premiere.
Premiere, but I'm gonna switch to DaVinci maybe.
I know a lot of people do it. Yeah.
So you got the motor on there, huh? How do you like that?
I like it.
So you have to like jumpstart it, huh?
Oh, how funny.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so neat. I love it.
Oh, we're like a whole gang now. Oh, is that a clutch or brakes?
Clutch and brake.
Say hi, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter's the star.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy. It is so fun having those like random
Chance encounters, yeah.
Yeah. I am appreciating this new battery life though. Usually with action cameras, I'm constantly swapping out batteries. All right, I think it's been long enough. It's time to take this thing, strap it on an FPV drone. I really want to just dive this, but as soon as I go over that lip, sometimes I lose signal, so let's not play any games today. This is just flow state stabilization, just straight out of the camera, so I'm not doing any sort of post-processing. I would comment on the footage right now, but I'm just looking at the goggle feed. That doesn't look very good, so we'll have to cut to later.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and do a roll real quick just to see how that looks. I believe you could also do it with horizon lock. Now I'm gonna turn off the internal stabilization off. Oh, nice. So I could actually record 4K 4x3, so that gives me a little bit more information to work with. And then I will be doing the stabilization in post. So it's an extra step, but sometimes you get better results that way. So here I'm just gonna do a little bit of this back and forth rocking with no stabilization. You should see it a lot, so I'll keep doing that. And let me go ahead and add the stabilization. And I'm still doing the same rocky thingy, which is making me kind of dizzy, but yeah, how's it look? You think I could land this on my lap?
Go for it.
It's kind of dangerous because I could slice my face. Oh! That feels so weird. Probably not a good idea. Don't try that at home. All right, you guys ready to get down and nerdy with this footage? Like what I did there, down and never mind. Let's just get on with this thing. The Achilles heel of every action camera seems to be low light. They're designed for action in daylight, but this new sensor seems to be somewhat reasonable since we're working with a 1/2" sensor that helps us out. And also we're at f2.4 instead of 2.8 that we were getting in the previous version. Even stacking it up against the 1" mod, which is a bigger sensor, but it looks like it's a f3.2. But looking at the door right here, it definitely seems cleaner. Just nicely gathered on that 1". The boost mod does seem to push the exposure a little bit more in auto exposure, but of course I can grade the 1" a little bit. DJI's Action 2 does have a 1/1.7" sensor, which is larger than the Insta360, but Insta360 still does have a slightly faster lens. I am seeing more noise in the image, but Insta360 recommends taking all the low light footage and passing it through the app where there's a remove grain option, cleans up a lot of that noise. Then comparing it to the Hero 10, definitely don't recommend taking that camera out in low light. You just see how much noise there is in the sky. Now this has all been in auto exposure, but if I lock in that ISO at 6400 and set that shutter speed relatively close, ton of noise here in the GoPro. Yeah, I still have my love for GoPro, but I do not take that thing out at night. Now, I do think it's really cool that Insta360 made all this cross-compatible with the previous version. So you could take the core and use it with the old heads, of course, but you could even take this new 4K boost mod and put it in the original R. Honestly, I thought they were gonna pull the old core isn't fast enough, so you're gonna have to upgrade the whole system. Like if you invested in the One R system in the past, then you can just upgrade the lens if you want to. Once you get everything connected, it is still waterproof up to 16 feet. Now, if you don't plan on doing any sort of color grading, this is just vibrant on both cameras. I think the biggest difference is that GoPro definitely adds more blue in the shadows, which does look really nice, but at the same time, the Insta360 looks a little bit more natural. So I think that's going to come down to personal preference. Now, if we're going to compare the One RS to the previous version, the R with the 4K wide angle, things do definitely look sharper, which is no surprise with that 48 megapixel sensor here. If we look at Dylan's face here, we get more richness in the colors in the shadow. shadows. Now, active HDR mode is a setting that I usually avoid in action cameras. A lot of times it gives you more problems than it helps, but I've been testing it and so far it seems to be pretty safe here. And I believe this has something to do with the sensor, the 48 megapixels. It's like a quad bay or whatever, I don't know, but science stuff. It makes it so that you can get the HDR without like overlapping frames that are slightly offset. Here you can kind of see that it's supposed to give you more dynamic range, so you can see more detail in the tree as well as in the sky back here. It's not blown out, and same here. It elevates those shadows a little bit and also brings down the blues in the sky. Now HDR does have a certain look to it. Some people like it, some people don't, but here you can see that the seat is brighter when you have that HDR, and also when we come around here we do maintain that sky, so we are able to take the ends of the dynamic range and just kind of scoot them back in. So could be useful in some cases. Now, one of the features I always like in action cameras is quick start. So when it's turned off, I just press one button, it boots up and starts recording. Question is, how long does it take for it to boot up and start recording? I've been getting about 6.4 seconds there, but if you want to shave a little bit of time off, you can go ahead and record in post mode where you're going to do the stabilization afterwards. Get 5.2 seconds, which is a little bit better. I would really love to get it under the 3-second mark. If I see any firmware updates that improve on this, I will again put it down in the comments, so make sure you check it, especially if you're watching this way in the future. Now, when you're recording, there's always a little lag for the display, and this goes with all cameras, but most of the time you just can't really see it because it's so quick. Very, very little lag in the post mode. I measured it out to be about 133 milliseconds, which is super minor, but as you start to add that flow state stabilization internally, so the camera's doing more work, you're gonna see more delays. In the low stabilization mode, I'm getting about 308 milliseconds of lag here. It's not awful, but put it up to medium, and every time it switches, it does give you a little warning that you are gonna see more lag here. And this is gonna put us at about 591 milliseconds, so we just crossed over the half-second mark. And then when we put up to high, we get a 908 millisecond lag, so almost an entire second of lag here. Me personally, if I was filming anything important, I would just go in post mode because that gives me all the options on what I want to do with the shot afterwards. I still have that 4:3 frame and I get the least amount of lag, but the internal stabilization is great for convenience. Now, here's a good example on why I like shooting in the 4:3 post mode. Now, on the left here is unprocessed, unstabilized, but on the right here, I decided to try stabilizing it with the 360-degree lock mode. So you'll see there's a massive crop, but the 360-degree lock is talking about the horizon lock. So there's different angles that you can set it at, but 360 degrees means I could do a full-on loop-de-looped and will not even see it on camera. And then, of course, the beauty of shooting in the post mode is if you realize that's too much crop or too much stabilization, you could always just reprocess it in a different form of stabilization. So now this is Ftv mode, which maintains a majority of the shot, but just gives it that nice little bit of stabilization. Now, I do love having the 4:3 because when you fill up the frame, you're still left with the same amount of resolution because horizontally it's the same, but you have the option to slide the frame up and down a little bit. And it's really useful for FPV because I'm usually monitoring through the goggles, which is a different camera actually. So if the tilt isn't perfectly aligned, sometimes my frame isn't what I was hoping it would be. So I get to make these adjustments afterwards. Another thing about Insta360 is that their app is pretty powerful. So like this is the hyperlapse, but if I wanted to add motion blur on top of it, you can do that as well. So let's go ahead and check out the field of view now. So I believe this is the entire 4:3 sensor. I'm shooting in the post 4:3 mode for that. We also get the same thing if we shoot a raw still photo. One thing that's interesting is if you take the post 4:3 mode and just import it into Premiere, it automatically adds a certain level of stabilization to it. I didn't even realize it was doing that at first until I realized like this actually looks a little bit stabilized. So I think that might be from the plugin. Kind of nice actually. But of course, any sort of stabilization is going to add a little bit of crop. So this is what we're working with here. Now popping into the internal flow state stabilization between HD and 4K, we're still using a majority of that sensor, just crossing a little bit for that stabilization. I'm sure we get in a bit tighter at 4K 50 frames per second. 4K 60 punches in a little bit more. And then the 6K widescreen mode looks even tighter, but good thing is since we have that 48 megapixel sensor, it still looks pretty dang sharp. The 2.7K 100 frames per second was the tightest crop I've tested, but you also do have the option to do a digital zoom zoom to a 50mm equivalent. You actually have the option to zoom in and out while you're recording. There's something you can't do on the GoPro. Another feature GoPros can't do, and I'm starting to sound like I'm hating on GoPro. I still love GoPros, but there's a few things they can't do, which is to preview your feed while you're recording. It does get a little bit choppier once you hop into 4K 60, but still it's really useful to just gauge your composition. Like if I'm trying to get a really low angle, I'm just monitoring on the phone app here instead of having to crouch down and look at the back of the screen all awkwardly. Now there are some settings that it doesn't work in. For example, active HDR mode. Preview is not supported for this mode. Hero 9 and Hero 10, you can still preview it with the app, but as soon as you start recording, it cuts it off. But anyways, that is all. Let's throw up the end tag so you can hit the subscribe button in the previous videos if you want to. You don't really have to. I don't really care. Actually, I kind of care, but like I try not to force you guys to do it. You know, I just like do it if you want to. You know, if you want. It's totally your decision.